So joining me now on the GioMoShow is the current sports director at WXOU, of which I am an alumni and in great contact and great friendship with the sports director, Gavin Smoliwski, who was just on the call for last night's game against Michigan in LCA. Gavin, how you doing? Welcome to the JomoShow.
Doing good, Joe. I appreciate you for inviting me on. The
And
game, it was pretty entertaining. I'll admit, it was a blast. It was definitely a different environment than anything we've done before, but it was definitely something different.
yeah, I mean, we'll put this out there. We know it's exhibition, but for now, it's the only taste of Oakland basketball that we have, and Michigan basketball as well. So just the game didn't go well. So I mean, the score is how it is. But give me some of your initial impressions. We'll start with some of the returning players from Oakland. How was Baru? How was Isaiah Jones? And how was DQ?
So Jones, unfortunately, is in a boot right now, so he didn't get any playing time on the floor. His brother looked nice as one of the newer players to the team, Jalen. He got a little bit of playing time here and there, but I definitely want to discuss a little bit with DQ and Baru.
Yeah.
Baru looked very different than I would have expected from kind of what I was thinking coming into the season. Obviously, Oakland's big time center last year was Chris Conway. He left. We unfortunately have that open center slot. I was expecting DeBrew to kind of slide into that role, but he played very differently. A lot more of like a 3-4 position than you'd expect, maybe less of a 4-5. Had reasonable ball handling time up near the top of the key, more crashing the boards than staying down low and trying to box out. He had a great impact defensively. Offensively, game definitely needs to be worked on. Getting into that offensive zone, a lot of shoulder down, trying to move his way to the basket. DQ did kind of what we were expecting from him. He's definitely going to be the primary ball handler this year. He played nearly the entire game. I want to say I have the stat sheet right here. It was 29 minutes of the 40. So he played a lot of time, especially in an exhibition game.
Yeah.
His shooting was not great. We won't mention the shooting percentage, but again, exhibition game. This game literally doesn't count. And
Yeah.
Greg Campany wanted to make that incredibly clear in the press conference at the end of the game. He said, sits down, first thing he says, I don't care what happened with the score. Don't say anything about the score. It does not matter. And I do think that's pretty clear to everybody. And again, it's U of M. They're a great basketball team. DQ looked good, shot not great, but he played his role pretty well.
Yeah, and I remember I saw on Twitter Tony Paul, the Detroit News, afterwards he asked Campy if there was anything that he liked after that game, and in quotes, it simply said no. No,
Yes, so
nothing that he
overall
liked
as a
apparently.
team, yeah, as a team, it looked all right. One of the biggest concerns I think that we saw and that Campy also mentioned was the zone, and this happens at the beginning of every year. Oakland, they're a very transfer heavy team. We know that they have a lot of new players coming in. A couple new players. I mean, even starting, you had Mashauer that played, you had the Hoth brothers that played, Majak played, and then mostly Mukeba, one of the new guys from Belgium, played, and they're just not really into that zone yet. You had a couple holes in Campy's zone. Two big problems were the corner three. Sam Walters, one of the forwards for U of M, took major advantage of that. Every time someone would drive baseline, it would leave that far side open for Walters to stand there and hit the corner three. I believe he had 4 of them, all from the exact same spot. So the corner threes, which have been issues before, were there. Down low, Mukeba got caught out of the zone a few times, but again, it's a new zone. Not to mention, you got to bring up the fact that U of M had 2 7-footers playing at the same time, whereas the tallest player on OU's team is 6'9". So we had a lot of lobs going on the whole time. It was Vlad Golden and Danny Wolf, 2 transfers to Michigan that really took advantage of us down low.
And talk to me about some of those newcomers, and you mentioned some of them, but particularly, I mean, where is the volume of the 3-point shooting going to come from now with the new kids on the block for Oakland?
So DQ obviously was taking his shot, but if we're mentioning new people, Jason Woodrich is the guy that's going to be shooting the threes. I got a couple little flashes of Golke out there. He shot reasonably well from 3, not great, but he hit a couple threes. He actually hit the only threes of the game for Oakland, but he looked fantastic. It was a cool player to see, a guy who's taken advantage of Oakland before offensively. I mean, he's been that one that has kind of been the corner 3 problem when he used to play for Cleveland State. And he always seems to play really well at the arena. So I guess the thought process was, why not bring him to the arena all the time and have him play for Oakland? He played very well for a newcomer. It was great.
And then now looking at, I mean, I want to ask specifically about if Cooper Craig's got any time and if he was starting to play a role here because he's been on the roster. He's one of the most senior Golden Grizzlies on the team, but he hasn't really seen any time on the court except for last year's exhibition match, I think against Wayne State, where he got injured. It was out for the rest of that last season. But is Cooper Craig's playing any role, at least in this game?
I was excited going to this game because I saw him in the probable starting five. He did start this game, but he only got just shy of 10 minutes. They didn't really play him as much as I was expecting. And like you said, I'm excited to see what he can bring to the table, but it didn't really seem like he was getting the time that I thought he was going to get in this game. So maybe he's still a work in progress. That's something that Campy has in mind because, as you said, he's one of the more senior players here, and he's looking to try to get involved in the lineup. So we'll kind of see how that plays out as the season moves on.
And just talk to me about like now I want to get more into the radio of the broadcast side of things, obviously, because I used to do that and I'll be on the call for a few games of Oakland on WXOU as well. But just being on the sideline, or I guess where were you guys positioned in LCA? But that's just a sweet gig. Tell me all about that part of
Mm-hmm.
it.
So where they had us positioned is as Little Caesars Arena, as most arenas do, have two tunnels where the players can run out. We were positioned right above one of those tunnels. So we got to kind of see the players run out underneath us, which was really cool. And the view was great. We were maybe 40, 50 feet from the court. So we had a great view, elevated a little bit. It was really cool. The environment was sweet. It was something very different. It's different from broadcasting in the arena where, especially when you're getting used to rosters, especially opponent rosters, you're kind of looking up and down at your sheet, looking at the court to make sure you got the guys down. But in LCA, you can just look up and you have this massive jumbotron with all the statistics on there. It was a really cool environment. It was super different. Downtown Detroit was beautiful that day. I believe they had like a 5K in the morning, so there were people hanging out down there. It was very fun.
And a little bit about now Michigan's side. You told me that, I mean, obviously they played a very big name opponent, but Michigan's going through some changes as well with a new coach coming in from Dusty May, has, Final Four recent experience with his time down in Florida. But what have you seen from Michigan so far? And, are the Wolverines going to be back in the game as far as the Big Ten's concerned?
So I guess when it comes to overall performance, of course they played well. It's U of M playing against Oakland. It's a much
Yes.
smaller school, but they were very entertaining to watch. One thing that I noticed that I just really you don't see very often is they played two bigs down low. And I'm not talking about like, a 7-footer and a 6'8" guy. Two 7-footers playing down low, both playing pretty similar jobs, pretty similar roles. It worked very well. Those being Danny Wolf and Vlad Golden. Wolf is the transfer from Yale. I believe Golden came from FAU with Dusty May. Golden played more of that traditional center role where he was sitting down low, he was catching lobs. I kept talking to Drew, who was on the color with me. I was every time Vlad would score, I'd be like, "Yep, that's another dunk," and only dunks so far today for Vlad Golden, as he got pretty much all of his points from down low. As for Wolf, he played a bit of a different role than I'd expect. He hit a couple of threes. There were a lot of transition rebounds he was getting where he was taking the ball off the court. He wasn't outletting it to a guard. So he had this idea where he was also handling the ball a lot. And it's a huge difference when you have a guy that's that tall that can, shoot threes and also play good defense and also handle the ball. It's kind of like a Karl-Anthony Towns situation that you'd expect. He played really well. Sam Walters, one of the guys off the bench, hitting a lot of threes, played well. Trey Donaldson and Roddy Gale, both guys who played really well. And again, U of M, just like Oakland, a very big transfer team. A lot of those transfers showed up and played very well.
And then to wrap up here, where you guys wrapped up for the broadcast, you guys head into the post-game press conference. You got to see Campy like not happy, and you got to see Dusty May, I'm sure, in a lot better spirits. Like, catch anything from the post-game interviews, and how was Dusty May to interact with? Just because I haven't met him, and I'm sure a lot of our audience hasn't either. But give me a little peek into the post-game press conference.
He was super friendly, super open about everything. Both coaches were very happy with the game because they, as Dusty said, I think we both got out of it what we wanted out of it. It was also for charity. It was a charity event, and that went fantastically as well. So for that, everyone was happy to participate in that. Campy very well said, "Hey, if Dusty wants to do it again, we'll do it again," because he had a blast. They weren't upset with the scores. Dusty said he enjoyed the team. He enjoyed the way that they played. Campy made it very clear he's not worried about what was going on, which is fine. Again, he said early season, he actually made it in his mind. He said You may watch this game, and he said some of our fans might start getting a little nervous. But he thinks they're actually going to be better a little bit quicker than you'd expect them to be. Maybe not we're getting into early January and we're starting to play well. He says, give it a month or so and you might start seeing this team turn around. He's very excited, and he says that they have the ability to be great this year. Not good, but great.
And I'm looking forward to it, man. I can't wait to hear you guys on the call all season long. Can't wait to be involved with a few of them myself and to see what you guys do for WXOU Sports. Gavin, I really appreciate you coming on to the show.
Of course. Thank you, Joe.
And be sure to go follow WXOU Sports, subscribe to them on YouTube, follow them on social media, support your college radio station where greatness is born in some cases. But we'll see you guys next time on the Joe Mo Show.